And I'm pleased to say that I've been joined by our first guest for this evening, Grant McLennan, who you may have seen earlier in the week at the Forum or perhaps even at the Flower, back with Robert Forster for some Go-Betweens gigs. Robert, I was there on Monday night. You seem to be really enjoying yourselves. Did you enjoy it?
I did, Laura. I thought it was fantastic. It was great just to be back on a London stage playing those songs because, you know, we lived here for quite a bit of the 80s, so it was wonderful.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it kind of, you know, when you go back to songs like that obviously, you know, you could tell from everybody in the crowd singing along, you know, I kind of found myself singing pretty much constantly for about an hour and a half, so I apologise to anybody sitting around me, but, there's so much in those songs. Does the feeling of what the words mean and whatever that still means something to you when you sing them?
Oh, yeah, completely. For a start, I don't sing them very much, you know. It's not like we're trying to be James Brown and, you know, the hardest working band in showbiz. It was these 6 shows only came up because we played 2 birthday parties over the last 2 years, and that was the first time that Robert and I had played those songs together since we disbanded in 1990, at the beginning of 1990. So the songs always mean so much to me because, half of them are Robert's for a start, so I respect him so much as a songwriter to be able to play and contribute to songs as good as that. You know, it's a buzz as well as a kind of honour. So that's great.
And what, would you be from those, are you planning to maybe do some more in the future, or are you leaving that open for now?
No plans whatsoever. Like Robert and I haven't discussed it. Obviously that means, if anyone's intelligent who's listening, that no one has, nothing else has come up. I think we kind of made it clear that this wasn't a tour, you know, in the traditional sense of that word. We're not playing Australia, for example. We're not playing America. Basically, we're only playing the British Isles.
Oh, I feel very honoured then in that case.
And we're doing one show at Roskilde at the festival, but that came about because of those 2 birthday parties that I mentioned, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, who knows, maybe if the Dalai Lama wants a gig in Tibet, not that he's allowed there, but maybe we could do something.
Yeah.
But it's there's no plans and there's no discussion of whether we'll do another record together. But, you know, anything's possible, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously since the band split up, both of you have had very successful solo careers. You've done a lot of interesting stuff. For your part, you know, some under your own name, some under the Jack Frost project. And I see here you brought in your new album, which I didn't realise was coming out so soon. It's due out in July, In Your Bright Ray. What have you brought to this? How would you sort of sum this up for our listeners?
Well, I'd sum it up as over close to an hour of easily the... well, it's difficult to say. I've often been criticised for my arrogance, but I think people misunderstand my enthusiasm. Just because I've written something doesn't mean that I can't really dig it, you know. I guess decorum prevents me from saying it's the greatest record since Revolver or something. But as a songwriter, I think like any person, like a painter perhaps, or a novelist, for example, you know when you're hitting good levels, you know. And on Liberty Bell and the Black Diamond Express, the Go-Betweens' 4th album, I knew that we had. On 16 Lovers Lane, I knew we had. On Horsebreaker Star, my previous solo record, I knew I had. But this one, In Your Bright Ray, is as a bunch of songs, it's as good a what's the word? As good a presentation of my vision of what I like in music. And to be a bit more humble, someone's got to do it, you know, because there's not a lot of stuff out there that I rush out and listen to, except for the Fannies or, you know, a couple of other things.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, I mean, we'll talk a bit more about it in a sec. But perhaps you'd like to introduce the first song you're going to sing for us from that.
Yeah, it's what I think is perhaps the clearest crystallization of what I try to do with words and music, and it's the, as I said, the title track. The whole record is a thematically linked record about the power of the imagination. So I think the title says it all.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Wind in the wires and you don't know where it's coming from. Wind in the wires and you don't know where it's coming from. Be my, be my, be my silver star. Wind in the wires and you don't know where it's coming from. In your bright ray, caught in your light ray, spinning sideways. Wind in the wires and you don't know where it's coming from. Crimson flare and you don't know where it's coming from. Be my, be my, be my silver star. Wind in the wires and you don't know where it's coming from. In your bright ray, caught in your light ray, spinning sideways. Be my, be my, be my silver star. Be my, be my, be my silver star. In your bright ray, caught in your light ray, spinning sideways. Be my, be my, be my silver star. In your bright ray, be my, be my, be my silver star. Spinning sideways. Wind in a wire and you don't know where it's coming from.
In your bright ray there, the title track of Grant McLennan's new album. You're listening to GLR, Laura Lee Davis here on a Thursday night. And Grant's with me. We've been talking about the Go-Betweens gigs that went on earlier in the week. And, of course, he's just played the title track there from his new album. And hopefully be playing another track for us in a moment. But really, I mean, like, when you go out and tour, I mean, obviously you've been doing this thing. You have been playing, you know, sort of gig around the world. Do you, I mean, is that the way that you really enjoy to formulate your songs, or as a songwriter, do you sort of you know, to write them and then take them on the road once you've recorded?
No, I'm certainly not from the blues school, and I think anyone who knows music can hear by my guitar playing. But I like to spend a lot of time in my head, kind of thing. And I know that sounds a bit sort of dippy and slacker, but
Well, it's quite artistic, though, isn't
yeah,
it? It's
well,
quite, you know.
I just find so much ugliness in the world now. You know, like a celebration of crassness and you know, I've always felt that. You know, that's why the image in inverted commas of the Go-Betweens was almost non-existent. You know, because I never thought that was important. You know, I'm not being sanctimonious, but I just thought that the music. I mean, I really don't care what anyone looks like, you know, as long as the music's good.
Yeah.
If the music's great and it's pop, well then, I guess if you're going to be in a girl group, you'd probably want to be the Spice Girls. But you know, I'm more on perhaps the Breeders side of, you know, music. So I prefer writing to anything. The recording process I'm getting better at it because I'm spending less time in the studio, you know, trying to save the record company some money. And also the well, you know, the prodigy.
The prodigy
You know,
will
I
make sure that
lo-
you'll be
I
able to
love
carry on
being
making records
yeah,
for
I
a long
love being
time.
I love being on my record label because there's, you know, the prodigy are good. I mean, they are actually, and the charlatans. You know, so people like that help Robert Forster and myself with our little dotty kind of escapades in the studio, and touring. It's just so tiring. You know, it really is tiring, and it sends a lot of people down a very, very dark road as well. I've seen a lot of casualties, and
Yeah.
you know. But at the moment, I'm have been enjoying playing, you know, the Go-Between shows, and look forward to doing some more live work towards the end of the year.
Yeah. The I know a friend of mine was went to see you, I think, when he was over in Sydney a couple of years ago, and it was that was how he found out that Charles Bukowski had died, I think, because you mentioned it in the gig, and you know, it's kind of like quite a, so I think it was quite a sort of, you know, strange thing. He was halfway around the world and he was sort of, you know, getting his news from gigs and whatever. But I mean, you know, one of the things that, you know, we've always said is that there's something so evocative about Australia and what the Go-Betweens have done in the past. There's a certain heat about it, a certain presence, and there's always a sense of place in the records. I mean, do you feel that as well? Or?
I think I do on obvious kind of songs where the text is quite specific. On the more atmospheric, emotional side of things, which is what you're talking about. I'm not trying to avoid things here, but everyone listens to the same song in a completely different way. So the way I hear it, I bring a lot of other stuff to it before I listen to it. But I have been caught unaware sometimes, you know, like, for example, Rock and Roll Friend, which was one of the last two things that Robert and I recorded, you know, with that lineup of the group. I listened to that the other day and was just blown away by its majesty, you know. Like, it's a great Forster lyric. As a sense of place, I guess there is that kind of openness. There is an openness to the music. It certainly doesn't fit into a European tradition, I think, very much.
Yeah.
And I used to think that it was more American, but these days I really don't know now. I think it's just become so second nature that I am Australian, so perhaps it's there, you know?
Yeah. Well, I look forward to, when is the album? What do you know?
I think
the date
it's out on the 21st of July.
Right, okay, great. Well, we'd be certainly, if we're allowed to keep this copy of the album that
Oh,
you brought in
please,
with you.
we did a trade.
So we'll certainly be playing more from that in the coming weeks. But you're going to play us another song now from the album. Thanks for coming in, and, you know, would you like to introduce the song yourself?
Yeah, this is a song called Sea Breeze. off the album, and it's when you see the artwork, it's got a close-up of my favourite Hawaiian shirt, so look for it. Thank you very much. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mrs. Morgan's having crazy nightmares in the heat. Dirty underwater things keep grabbing at her feet. She lives alone at 85, the big house by the park, the suffocating tentacles of the molten dark. All summer long without shoes, underneath a sky of sapphire blue, waiting for a change around. Busted from its chains inside a circus tent. The witness said the boys just grinned, held onto its tail. Now they're drifting on the creek till the wind fills up their sail. All summer long without shoes, underneath a sky of sapphire blue, waiting for a change around.
Top stuff, and in the studio live with us. That's amazing. It's so professional. It's almost like it's not on the Laura Lee Davis programme here on 94.9 FM GLR. And there goes Grant McLennan. And
Five times night and a black so black, bats don't fly and radar won't track. Grandmother is sick, there's menace everywhere. Lambs lie bleeding on the church stair. There's a juggler in the street selling suicide, satin cap and shining hides. Over
Sam McLennan from his new album In Your Bright Ray, and that was a track called Room for Skin. And the man himself, as I mentioned, has been touring around the festivals, doing many gigs with a brief heady reformation of the go-betweens, him and Robert Forster. Back on stage together for the 100th time, I guess, or the 1000th time, but did it feel good and not too nostalgic for the pair of you to be playing?
It didn't feel nostalgic at all, because one thing that always saves us is the songs, and we're able to kind of play them the way we have always played them. We don't have to kind of worry about getting a sequencer in or wearing the clothes that we wore in 1985 or 86. So it's great, and the most important thing is that the fans, it's like a new generation of fans, and they've all got onto it through the internet. So I'm glad that computers were invented.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that kind of a...
Yeah, like, people came up to us in Dublin and they'd heard about it through the internet, and they got people, in Dublin to get tickets for them. They'd flown in and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying the whole audience was like that, but that kind of interest, and, we really don't provoke rabid response, like you don't bang your head. So it's very nice that a kind of more, I guess, introverted, gentle thing, that people are interested in. It's great.
What one man's collection of anoraks is a full house and a go-betweens gig?
No, I think they're all the beautiful South, aren't they?
So for yourself, I mean, did you kind of make Robert Forster play things like lighting fires and stuff? Did he have to learn your entire back catalog?
No. Robert knows that, and I know his songs. No, this when we play together and we call it the Go-Betweens, it's the agreement is that it's our Go-Between songs. If we ever do any new stuff and call it the Go-Betweens, then we'll have written songs specifically for that. But no, I mean, I think to play songs off my solo records or Robert's solo records in a way isn't the Go-Betweens, isn't that body of work that we wrote. I'm sure people wouldn't mind, but I think Robert and I want to keep that as a sacrosanct kind of thing.
Yeah, and I suppose I would say if one or other of you kind of mugging furiously and pulling kind of stinky faces at the audience during somebody else's songs?
Well, once again, we were never a band that kind of did that, so I guess that's why people kind of hold us so preciously. We were never a band that kind of did the real showbiz thing, even though Robert wore some crazy suits and we occasionally put on dresses. I don't think we're ever a band that had to do that.
I was going to say, there has been some outlandish designs in the trouser department over the years, but we'll leave it at that. You're going to play a song for us, Grant. What would you like to do?
Well, I'd like to play a song called 1+1, which is a song that takes place in a wooden room in Brisbane, and it's a very simple song and kind of ancient. I hope you dig it. In the house, smell of tulips and peppermint, cotton sheets, candle smoke and a mosquito net, making love, making waves and not making sense. Everyone's gone's what everyone said. Sure seems like we went and lost our heads. 1+1. In the house, smell of tulips and peppermint, cotton sheets, candle smoke and a mosquito net, making love,
what everyone said. Sure seems like we went and lost our heads. 1 plus 1. Everyone's gone's what everyone said. Sure seems like we went and lost our heads. 1 plus 1. Everyone's gone's what everyone said. Sure seems like we went and lost our heads. 1 plus 1.
Graham McLennan playing live on GLR. That's a song which is featured on in Your Bright Ray, which is an album I suppose you'll be eventually dragged out to tour in a live format at some point.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, I'm hoping that this is a record that I put out and the whole world goes crazy. You know, like this is a bunch of songs which, after my last record, which was more an American adventure through kind of the heartland of a whole lot of styles of music and a you know, a double album. I've gone back to the electric guitar, and it's, you know, I guess it's funny I'm sitting here with an acoustic, but it's very difficult to plug in my Vox and boxes here and crank it at this time of day. So it really depends, I think, on whether people, you know, want to see me play. You know, it's you know, I'm not being falsely humble, but there's a lot of groups out there doing lots of things. So the record's out towards the end of July, and hopefully in the late summer, you know, I'll come back with a group.
Great. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you peeking around the curtains to see if there's anybody in the audience. Then, Graham McLennan, thanks a million for playing live today.
Thank you.